Hey Castlers, Tibbs0111vs back at you with more 2023 IDT action. And today we'll go over 3 games in today's weekend review, but before I continue, I'd like to clarify. The win that G-Strong100 achieved over Tibbs0111, that was his group leading 11th point, not 10th, 11th point of the tournament. So now that I've clarified that, we'll start with this game, where Ydtd had white and Tibbs0111vs had black. Ydtd needs the win to keep pace with Juanitamann, who has 10 points, and G-Strong100, who has 11 points to lead the group. This game took place over a span of 32 days, from June 30th to July 31st. So let's see what happened here. The boogeyman starts off with pawn to e4. Kelbel played c5. Sicilian is on the board. Knight c3. So Ydtd opting for a closed Sicilian, where he can slowly develop his pieces rather than if he did pawn to d4. And you get the exchange here, looking to open up the position. And open position has no locked pawns, and typically a couple of pawns have been traded, like so, which allows for more of your pieces to move and become more active. For instance, you have the queen here in the center, where she can have access to more squares here. She's more powerful in the center. Your bishop has a long scope, this long diagonal here. Your white light square bishop has a long diagonal here. It's more open. Conversely, a closed position is when you have a locked pawn center, and typically very few, if any, pawns have been traded. Whereas Kelly right here, she plays pawn to d6. See, now this is a closed position. The pawns are locked. Bishop is pretty stifled here. It pretty much stifles piece movement and piece activity. So let's continue. Knight f3, each player continuing their development. Ydtd castles kingside. Kelly fianchettos her bishop. Ydtd pushes his d-pawn toward the center. Kelly castles. Ydtd pushes his pawn to d5 to lock up the center, and you have an even game so far. More jostling of pieces. Still an even game. And then you get bishop to b7. On her 18th move, Kelly moved her bishop to b7, which gave up a free pawn, actually. Like so. Knight takes b5. Kelly plays queen to b6. Ydtd moves his knight to a safer square. And Ydtd continues to hold a 1-point lead until he placed his rook onto g5, aiming at the unguarded e5 pawn. Kelly ignored the threat and played rook a to b8. Ydtd then took the pawn on e5 and went up 2 material points. Ydtd continues to apply pressure. And then walking his center pawns up the board, eventually threatening the knight, Kelly ignored that threat and plays bishop to f5, adding another defender to the g6 pawn and also attacking the unguarded c2 pawn. Ydtd simply takes the knight with his pawn and goes up 5 points. Kelly takes back and she's down in the exchange. And with a +4 lead, all that was left to do is finish the game. Kelly does make it close, though, as you can see she begins to walk her pawn down at h-file. And she's able to promote it to a queen. But Ydtd, his calculation was definitely on point, as he had mate in 3 moves, as he was able to promote his pawn to a queen as well. Kelbel didn't let it go that far, as she resigned 2 moves later. So a great win for Ydtd, as this became his 9th win of the tournament, 1 point separating him from, well, I should say 2 points separating him from G-Strong100, and 1 point separating him from Juanitamann in Group 2. Let's move on to game number 2, where that was Tibbs versus Ydtd. Tibbs had white, Ydtd with black. And this game was played over a span of 34 days, from June 30th to August the 2nd. Let's see what happened here. Pawn to E4 from Tibbs with the white pieces. And you get C5 and another Sicilian on the board. Tibbs rips up conventionality and pushes his pawn to E5. Ydtd goes after the pawn with knight C6. Tibbs plays knight to F3 and defends the pawn. You then get pawn to E6, then D4. Ydtd takes. And Tibbs plays bishop to B5. Not a great move. Why? Because Ydtd plays the great move of queen to A5 check. Tibbs has to address the attack on his king. So he blocks the check on his king by playing queen to D2. But that allows Tibbs to lose his bishop with the play of queen takes B5. And that's basically the game. That is basically the game, as you can't give a player as good as Ydtd a piece lead, because he's basically going to play solid chess, liquidate your pieces, and beat you in the end game because he has more weapons than you. And you can see Ydtd's material point lead never dips below 4. It's currently at +5. Eventually, Tibbs resigns after move 52. This is just all formality. There you go. The win gave Ydtd his 10th point of the tournament, giving him the same point total as Juanitamann. Remember, G-Strong100 currently has 11 points, so he's leading that Group 2. Let's move on to the final game of the week, which has Juanita with white and Infinite KB07 with black. Now, this is an important game for Juanita because she can hear the footsteps of Ydtd getting louder. Plus, she was neck and neck, but now that I've clarified that G-Strong100 has 11 points, she must keep pace with G-Strong100. So she needs a win here. Conversely, with Infinite KB07 already mathematically eliminated from advancing to the finals, he gets to play a spoiler role for the rest of the tournament. This game was played over a span of 36 days, from June 30th to August the 4th. Let's see how this one played out. We get pawn to D4, knight F6. The Indian game is on the board. You then get bishop to F4, pawn to E6, knight to F3. Juanita continuing with her development. Pawn to D6, pawn to E3. Each player developing nicely. Juanita castles kingside first. Infinite KB07 plays knight to H5. Trying to take that bishop off the board. Juanita backs her bishop to G3. You get takes, takes. Then you get pawn to H6. Infinite trying to prevent the knight from infiltrating his position on G5. Juanita then pushes her pawn to E4. Infinite prevents further E-pawn progression with pawn to E5. So Juanita says, okay, I'll push my D-pawn. And that hits the knight, which backs Infinite's knight back to the 8th rank. So Juanita's position is really great here. She's taking control of the squares in the game. She then develops her queen to E2. And after that, there's more shifting of pieces. And you get bishop takes F5. There's an exchange on F5, which enables Juanita to get her queen deep into Infinite's territory. when Infinite finally decides to castle, but that allows for Juanita to capture a pawn for free and go up 1 point. Even if Infinite took back, the bishop is there to capture. Even if she, let's say he took that, the bishop's there to recapture, so she'd still be up 1 point. Let's go back. So he didn't take again with the pawn. Infinite plays knight to b8, but Juanita snags another pawn and she goes up 2 points. Juanita, usually with a 2-point lead, she's in the driver's seat, and she seemed to have this game under control. Still up 2 points, a lot of jostling of of pieces, but right here, this exchange right here, after Juanita takes the pawn with her pawn, Infinite takes the bishop with his rook. Juanita quickly takes the rook with her rook. That's a big mistake. As you can see, that eval bar just dipped. She needed, instead, to take the knight with a pawn. That's winning. It's winning. And she even texted me. She said, I really messed up. She takes that pawn. That's winning for Juanita. But instead, she hastily took the rook with her rook. And that just turns this game on its head. Infinite is now winning. And it's Infinite with the 2-point lead when the exchange is over. This was all Infinite needed, as he was able to shut the door on Juanita's quest for her 11th point of the tournament to keep pace with G-Strong100 and Ydtd. Juanita tried her best, but like I said, good players just liquidate your pieces and grind you down and beat you in the end game. And that's exactly what Infinite KB07 did. And then he just trolls her and just gets 2 queens. And Juanita said, I'm not going to stick around for this. So Infinite is successful in playing spoiler here. Let's check out the leaderboard. Yeah, as you can see, G Strong has 11 points. He leads, but he has those 3 zeros, those 3 goose eggs. And guess who doesn't have goose eggs? Ydtd. And he has 10 points with 4 games remaining. Juanitamann has 10 points, has 2 goose eggs, but also has 2 games remaining. And guess who those 2 games are against? Yeah, you guessed it, Mr. Boogeyman himself. So those are going to be some interesting games. G Strong's tournament is over, so he can just watch. Ydtd is either going to go room right past him. Juanitamann's either going to go room right past G Strong, or they'll just stifle each other. But G Strong looks like he's going to get passed over because Ydtd has 4 games remaining. He's got 10 points. All he can do is watch. But nevertheless, G Strong had a great tournament, and it's a great comeback from G-Strong100. As he had 14 losses, I believe, in the previous the Let's Castle Championship game. So this is a nice bounce back performance by G-Strong100, ending with 11 points and only 3 losses. So we're going to have to watch these top 3, G-Strong100, Ydtd. Well, actually, G-Strong's done, but Ydtd and Juanita. One of those 2 are most likely going to meet the winner of Group 1, Chevalier Chess, who suffered no losses, just a dominating performance. He will be waiting the winner of Group 2. It will either be Ydtd or Juanitamann. So that's going to do it for this video. I'm Elodef07 saying stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.